When officers stepped inside the home, the first thing they noticed was the silence, deafening, thick, wrong. Then came the smell, metallic, familiar to those who've walked the halls of death before. What they found inside would haunt the entire precinct for years to come. A mother, father, and 2 children slaughtered in their own home. But in the midst of the bloodbath, something stirred. Beneath a blood-soaked blanket, a small body began to move. It was an 11-year-old girl, alive. She had survived by doing the unthinkable, playing dead among her murdered family. But what she told detectives next wasn't just heartbreaking, it was unimaginable. It pointed to something more monstrous than anyone could have guessed. This wasn't just a murder. This was premeditated, and the truth behind it was worse than death itself. It was an ordinary Thursday evening in the quiet town of Millington, Missouri. A town so small that everyone knew each other by name, where doors were often left unlocked and neighbors still brought each other casseroles. At the heart of it lived the Allens, a well-respected, tight-knit family. James Allen, 45, was a former Marine turned local high school coach. His wife, Denise, 42, worked as a nurse at the town's only hospital. They had 3 children, 14-year-old Dylan, 8-year-old Noah, and their middle child, 11-year-old Sophie Allen. That evening, around 6:45 p.m., neighbors reported hearing laughter from the Allens' backyard. The kids were playing while Denise grilled dinner. It was one of those idyllic suburban scenes that never hints at the horrors to come. By 8:30 p.m., the neighborhood was quiet again, but by morning, everything would change. 911, what's your emergency? They're all dead. I'm sorry, can you repeat that? My family. He killed them. I pretended to be dead. Please help me. Officers were dispatched to the address immediately. First on scene was Officer Danielle Ruiz, a 5-year veteran with the department. She later recalled the moment she entered the home. I've seen some rough things, but that was evil, pure evil, blood on the walls, trails leading from room to room. You could tell they tried to run. Inside, the bodies of James, Denise, Dylan, and Noah were discovered in different rooms, each one savagely attacked with a knife. No signs of forced entry, no sign of robbery, nothing taken, just death. And then they found her Sophie, curled into a fetal position, tucked beneath the living room couch, shivering, soaked in blood that wasn't hers. She had been hiding there for almost 10 hours. At the hospital, Sophie was treated for shock and a shallow wound to her leg. She was physically stable, but emotionally fractured. Detectives Marcus O'Reilly and Jenna Wu were assigned the case. When Sophie finally spoke, what she revealed wasn't just shocking, it was inexplicable. He came through the back door, she whispered. He had a mask, like a smiley face, like a plastic happy mask. My dad thought he was one of Dylan's friends playing a prank. According to Sophie, the man said he knew Dylan. He even called James by name. There were no screams at first, just confusion. Then the man pulled out a long knife and stabbed James in the chest. Denise screamed. Dylan ran. Noah tried to hide in the kitchen pantry. One by one, the masked man hunted them down. Sophie said she only survived because she fell and hit her head. Blood covered her face. She didn't move. She didn't breathe. She just played dead. He stood over me for a while, she said. I thought he knew I was alive. But then, he laughed. He said, 4 out of 5's not bad. And then he left. With no fingerprints, no DNA, and no signs of forced entry, the investigation was at a standstill. But Sophie's description of the mask gave detectives a lead. A plastic mask with a cartoonish smile. A disturbing echo of innocence warped into horror. Detective Wu remembered a case from 3 towns over, a home invasion just 6 months earlier. A family of 3 was murdered. No survivors. But neighbors had reported seeing a man wearing a similar mask. When the team reviewed the evidence from that crime scene, something chilled them to their bones. A single note was left behind, taped to the wall in blood. Smiles make the pain go away. As days passed, Sophie began to remember more. One particular memory stunned detectives. He had a tattoo, she said, on his wrist. It looked like a flame or a dragon, I don't know, but I saw it when he raised the knife. That was the breakthrough they needed. Local officers began combing through parolees and mental health patients who matched that description. Eventually, they found him, Travis Elkin, a former psychiatric patient and high school dropout with a violent past. Travis had once attended the same high school where James Allen coached. And his tattoo? A red flame surrounded by smoke etched on his wrist. When detectives reviewed security footage from a gas station a mile from the Allen home, there he was, at 7:23 p.m., buying duct tape, a lighter, and gloves, wearing a hoodie. His face partially visible beneath the hood. It was enough for a warrant. Subject may be armed and dangerous. Proceed with caution. Copy that. Breach on 3. 1, 2, 3. Officers stormed Elkin's trailer in the woods on the outskirts of town. Inside, they found a shrine, photos of the Allen family taken from afar, notes scribbled in notebooks, phrases like, "He took everything," and "He deserves to hurt," repeated over and over, and the mask. The same plastic smiling mask Sophie described, hanging on the wall like a trophy. Elkin was arrested without incident, almost like he wanted to be caught. In interrogation, Elkin didn't deny the murders. In fact, he seemed proud. "James Allen ruined my life," he sneered. "Back in high school, he benched me, humiliated me in front of everyone. He took my shot at college, my shot at everything." According to Elkin, his rage festered for over a decade. He blamed James for every failure, every job he lost, every relationship that crumbled. But what no one could understand was this: why kill the whole family? Elkin's answer was simple: because pain spreads, and he needed to feel it before he died. Despite his confession, the trial was harrowing. Prosecutors pushed for the death penalty. Sophie, just 11 years old, had to take the stand. Her testimony gripped the nation. "I saw him kill my mom," she whispered, "and I didn't scream, because if I did, I'd be next." She described the smell of blood, the sound of her little brother's cries, the way Elkin tilted his head as he watched each life leave their bodies. It was the kind of evil that silences courtrooms. Grown men cried. Even the judge had to pause. After 2 weeks of trial, the jury deliberated just 4 hours. Verdict: guilty on all counts. Sentence: death. Sophie now lives with her aunt in another state. She's in therapy. She's drawing again, trying to find normal. But some nights, her aunt says, Sophie wakes up screaming. She still sees the mask. She still hears the laughter. She survived something no child should ever have to. But she also gave the world something powerful: the truth. If you were moved by Sophie's bravery, remember to hit the subscribe button and support our mission to bring you the most chilling, most unforgettable true crime stories, right here on True Crime Feedback. Turn on notifications so you never miss the truth, no matter how dark it gets.